Tiwari is right. Mr. M. Vasudev Rao, committee member. Now, toward the left of Mr. Hinduja is Ramesh Subramaniam, monitoring committee member. Mr. Anand Dixit, and shortly will be Mr. Moses Hoding-John, the CEO of IIHL. Before I hand the conference to Mr. Hinduja, I request you all to please stick to questions that are limited to the press conference, that is the acquisition of Reliance Capital. Thank you.
See?
Now I hand the conference
Yes,
over to Mr.
that's
Hinduja.
right. Okay. First of all, I personally welcome all of the media friends here. In such a short notice, I think the message went from the 8 factors around 3:15, and I was asked whether it is possible to assemble everybody by 6:30. The reason was transaction is from our side over. It's in process. As speaking, the money must be going from escrow to the other escrow account, and I have to travel to Vijayawada for our Cleland plant. So I thought it is better to have a quick press meet to communicate for a transaction which we have all worked for within 3 years. Let me first let you know what is IIHL. It started exactly around 30 years back in 1993. My brother SP was the founder who assembled in India an entity for the bank as well as an entity of the high net worth overseas Indians. And since then, 90-95% of the shareholders are common. They have stood by with the company for more than these 30 years. And they had invested at $1 per share. And I think roughly they have seen the time when the $70-80 per share, their value has happened. It came down to 30, it came down up to 40, 50. So it's ranging depending on IndusInd Bank shares. So they have always been telling to the board that why we are depending only on dividend. Why not do some other businesses and we create value for this. And a value, because it's only dividend is on the face value, and the market value of the asset value is always fluctuating between $45 to $80. But they have always stand by, have not exited, they have been there. So this is how board thought of thinking how to create value for this entity. So thought was, we are in a banking, we start with and look into wider and come the full comeback of the BFSI. So 5-6 years back, the opportunity came for EXA. We looked into it, saw that that is not a value for us. We moved out. Then we saw to IDFC mutual fund. There we bidded. We didn't come to the or the value. Finally, I think it went done. And then opportunity came of the Reliance Capital. So before we went into it, okay, let us get the money. So we went to shareholders and 2-3 calls of the capital raise. So around over $525 million were sitting with the company, deployed in various deposits outside India in dollars. As and when the opportunity will come, draw the money and money can be then paid. And hence, also to create value over and above dividend, some of the shares of the IndusInd Bank to do the treasury management, to create and in 0.5%, 1% of the value. So we both decided that let's do it also. didn't realize that impact will give to the bank if the promoter is pledging its shares, right? So the board said no problem, at a period time we will bring more capital and de-pledge these shares. Taking this into account, our ambition now is coming to the fulfillment of entire BFSI sector. So we are now after this acquisition, we will get into the insurance, we will have the bank, then the opportunity came for the mutual fund. So Invesco, we 60% of the to an arrangement with them. Has already gone, and we are expecting a few weeks to get the and post approval. I think we will be a on Reliance Capital. There are about 30-40 subsidiaries. So we have also reviewed that out of these 30 subsidiaries, how many of them should be kept and how many of them should exit, because most of them are shell companies and lot of transactions happen. So we said rather than post acquisition, maybe lot of litigations. We don't like to do that. We're in the business of major insurance companies, RCAP as a holding structure, and all other companies. I think post acquisition in 2 weeks the board will meet, board will call, and hopefully they decide whether we keep or exit from all those companies. They may be having tax laws, they may be having so many things, but board will take a accordingly, do the needful. My compliment, my team here. I think such a complex structure and the complex to acquire being so a lot of complexity was there, and I think they have worked late nights. So my thanks and compliments to whole team. They have been introduced already. And my next comment is to our two great CEOs with life insurance, Mr. Ashish Vora, Mr. Rakesh Jain for the general insurance. Question is, during a period of 4 to 5 years, the perception was so bad, monies were not coming, their capital problems, how they are solved, but they have maintained and they have given the. So when we looked into after the acquisition, we said heads to them. They have done a great job, and now with the value addition to the promoter injecting more capital as and when they require, that will be provided. The growth pattern will come. The whole idea is in a phased manner in a period of 2 years, these entities will go for listing. The question now comes about the brand. The Reliance General Insurance and Reliance Nippon Life Insurance. This again, we have taken a call of these companies will sit and understand that how we bring a different brand of IndusInd International, how Reliance name can move out, how much time it will take. I think that is a regulatory requirement. It may take 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. That I think we will come to know from them. And one of the international agencies, Laundry, has been appointed for coming up with the branding and coming up with the various ads and other things, so that properly everything will be structured. As I understand, there are 100 force, so we'll have to take a call and review, because so many companies will be divesting. How many manpower force will go with those companies? But I think the majority of them are with both the life insurance and general insurance. Our basic objective is always to protect the employment, right employees, and if they are, our HR team will look into it, and if we can absorb within our group companies, we will definitely absorb them. It's not that we have taken and we want to shunt out the people. So keeping this in mind, the value creation, the BFSI ambition, which we are fulfilling, and branding I have clarified. Then the question came, oh, where is the money? Why there is delay? So, as I said, it was a very complex situation. To tackle and to acquire this entity was a hell of a time, which normally doesn't take more than, I think this must be the largest any acquisition through NCLT has taken 2 years and 8 or 9 months. As far as the money is concerned, money was already there. 500 and odd million capital raise was already lying there. But the money can only come at an appropriate time with the proper clearances and approvals. Now also, the shares are already lying in our name since last 6 months, right? But the final transaction, which is now getting over today, I think our target and ambition and objective is over. Now is the object to create value for this. So I leave the platform to you gentlemen. Any questions? Whatever I have said is answered. It is incomplete. I can answer complete it.
Hi. Ankur Mishra from ET Now. First of all, congratulations to all the board members and the stakeholders for completion of the transaction from your side. First, I would want to understand technically, as you mentioned, from your side, it is completed. Now, which are the things which are left and how much time will it take to have, complete transaction per se? And second question, I want to understand, you mentioned this acquisition of Reliance Capital. It's insurance heavy mostly. As you mentioned, you will take a call on other subsidiaries as well. Which are the areas still you would like to focus apart from insurance from this particular acquisition?
Ramesh, would you like to?
You asked about the transaction closing. The only step now is there's a formality of once the money is seen in the COC's control account, which is going to happen any time. They will just pass a resolution and that's all. Then the new board takes over. So this is just a standard process of the administrator handing over the affairs of the company to the new management. That will happen tomorrow. Yeah. So, yes. The monetary piece is over, as Mr. Hinduja said. We have placed all the money now ready for them to take it away.
And what happens to NCLT approval?
NCLT is approved. There'll be only a formality of filing as a closure. The administrator has to file.
Last order which we got from NCLT was that by 20th, you please close everything and come back to us and inform us. And up till 25th, they said to come back. Vasu, can you clarify the situation?
So NCLT said complete the transaction on the 20th and come back before NCLT on the 25th, updating it about the status of the transaction, which we are going to do on the 25th.
So if this is it's over, and maybe on 20th when we go, I think we complete the whole process to inform them.
So, second question on focus also, if you can clarify, I want to understand, apart from insurance, which are the small bits of companies or the areas where you think there is some need in Reliance Capital?
No, as I told you, which we have seen, most of the companies are shell companies. We have two companies. One is the Securities, which is a broking company, which we would like to continue and grow that company. And the another one is asset restructuring company. So other than these two, all other companies will exit because they are more or less shell. And these two companies, after acquisition, the board will sit, board will review, and will accordingly take a call that how much more capital is to be injected, how much growth we have to give, or which company we have to keep and which may have to exit. So these are the only two entities which are left out.
So hi, Shilpa here from CNBC. Could you sort of elaborate to us, now that you've completed the acquisition for the insurance business, given that's largely, that's the most part of the business that you're taking over, what is the sort of strategic plan that you have in mind to grow this business, and what is the value add that you're getting out of what is left with, what is still there with Reliance Capital to, IIHL and to the larger group also? And if you could also add, you said you are looking at how do you want to change the branding of the name, right? Are you looking at a new branding, or will it be within, something from the group companies itself? I mean, what's the direction that your thought is in?
See, initially we have already thought the name will be IndusInd,
Right.
because that's the company of the. So IndusInd will be the brand, but when that will be inducted, that will depend with the management and the regulatory requirement, because there are millions of shareholders, unit holders. They have to be communicated, their forms have to be exchanged, various things have to happen. So we will again come back that when those brands exchange will take place.
Right.
As far as the value creation is concerned, only yesterday after seeing the Allianz and Bajaj transaction, so I was asking my team that what is the value of our assets. They said that whatever value they have got is much low, because it's a good buy for Bajaj, because it was a minority shareholding of 26% and it is a non-listed entity. So definitely the value what they told me that on a very conservative basis is around 20,000 crores. So we are not here for value creation at this stage. We have 2 years to go to add value creation to this and then plan for the listing.
Right.
So in 2 years, whether we are reaching, it will all be left to the management, how strong they can move with the support, with the capital, with whatever requirement is there. The target given to them will be, once we take, the board will sit, discuss with the management and take a call.
But basically, it is going to be around that 2-year target that you're looking at to grow the business, make it ready
Yes,
for it.
yes.
And so, you spoke about employees also, but with respect to leading the business also, will we see you trying to hire a lot more at the top end? How are you going about, what's the plan with the leadership of the business also?
All this will depend after we move in on the board. We take the presentation from the management. According to the management, because management will say how much money you are going to give us, how much growth you are expecting. So taking all that into account, it will be too early for me to say whether from 20,000 crore we like to take to 50,000 or 35,000. It's too early. But I think in another month or two, we'll be ready with that plan.
Mr. Hinduja, Vishwanath Nair here from NETV Profit. Considering the events that have happened over the last week, 10 days or so with respect to IndusInd Bank, one question has repeatedly come about the promoter group's absence from the board and why that continues, A. B, if you're going to create these multiple financial services business under the IndusInd International Holdings umbrella, is there going to be a non-operating holding finance structure that you will go for? Will that then become the governance structure for this entire business that you're holding at this point?
No, right legal team is there to work out how the plan will function. Being a Mauritius entity, acquiring an Indian entity, they will depend on the Indian board. Their members will be on the board. So only after that the whole plan will come into force. As far as IndusInd Bank is concerned, I'll appreciate, let us, otherwise, the whole story gets confused. We restrict this to Reliance Capital. Post Reliance Capital, if anybody has any, I have already communicated half an hour talk with the ET as well as with CNBC. If there is anything more you would like to know, post after this.
A lot of questions, so for sure. Yeah. But again, the point about this NOHFC structure, is that something that's in the works? Is that something that you're considering? Because it just allows for easier governance of financial services companies in India.
Definitely, we have to follow the process and we have to follow the rules, regulations of the country. Because this itself, this transaction has gone through all the three regulators. and also the DIPP, which we never realized that 2 or 3 small shareholders, for instance 30 years, who were NRIs, were holding Hong Kong passport holders. So it has taken so many months to clear that process.
And one question around the time that is taken to complete this deal. I appreciate that you've said that it's taken nearly 3 years to complete it. But the fact is that the group repeatedly communicated a certain timeline and then was not able to meet it, and then things got pushed forward. Is this largely because of regulatory delays, or would you say that from the group's end also there are probably some delays?
No. First of all, I would not like to blame anybody for the delays. I can only say the delay was not from our side. It was the process which was so complex. Even our legal team, which memos I have seen, were confused whether we need such and such approval or we don't need such and such approval. Because 3 regulators connecting these transactions, very complex. So let's not get, now things are over. I don't want to blame anybody. All which is gone for good, and we are over to take over and create value for this.
So I wanted to add something. The insurance regulator has talked about bank assurance now being opened up to multiple partners and not just a single partner, right? You have a bank, and hopefully there's going to be some bank assurance talks there. If such a structure comes in, then does this deal still add a lot more, in the sense the network add a lot more value?
Yeah, sure. Our first preference will be to IndusInd Bank, but it will be at the arm's length. The bank also, I think they'll have to do their arm's length relationship. We will have to do. Distribution is one of the arm. Definitely the preference will be given to IndusInd Bank, but on the right processes.
Hi. This is Alec from Economic Times. You spoke about bank insurance partnership, but overall, how do you see the synergy pan out between the 2 insurance companies and also the bank? And you spoke about pledged shares. Given the events that have unfolded in the past few days, promoter had 50% shares that are pledged. Given the fall in the share price, has the number gone up?
Yeah. See, let me tell you. In my last interview in ET Now, I made it clear that there is no further pledge. But still, I think some of the media has kept on writing that there will be pledge. How the transaction will happen of Reliance Cap. Where is the money going to come? So I don't want to get into that. We have proved the transaction is done, money has come, no further pledge has happened.
On the synergy bit, can you allude a bit more?
Pardon?
On the synergy bit between...
On synergy, see, these both are separate entities. So whatever synergies they can create, they will definitely look into it. We have Nippon as a partner, 49%, sitting in the life insurance. There is also a license which we have for the health insurance. Now the regulator is giving permissions that you can consolidate, you can do so many things. But because a partner with Nippon, they may not be interested in general insurance. So the question of joint synergy may not come. But joint synergy as a business value creation will be open, and we will support that between the 2 management if they can generate. Not only that, within the group companies of the Hinduja group, if we are able to create any synergies. Already since we have come in, lot of businesses of the group, Hinduja group, has been given to these insurance companies. So value creation in a right way, in an arm's length basis, in a proper transparency is always welcome and will be fully supported by the promoters to the entity.
Is there any plan to invest in infused funds in the bank?
Whenever bank needs any capital, always, as I said earlier also, whenever capital raise is required, they did acquisition once, twice, promoter has welcomed and promoter has also injected money.
Has there been a request recently from the bank?
No, because their capital adequacy is already more than 15%. and they don't need any further capital, because excess money, unless there is a plan, it is not necessary to provide, no? And that also it is beneficial for the promoter to put money in at this rates. But it is not good for the institution to take money at a higher rate. They will always welcome at a lower rate, because their equity EPS ratios are calculated on that.
Sir, good evening.
सर अभी जिस तरह से आपने बताया कि निपॉन लाइफ जो है वो इंटरेस्टेड शायद नहीं होगा जनरल इंश्योरेंस वगैरह में, तो क्या जब तक आप दोनों कंपनी की लिस्टिंग नहीं होती किसी भी तरह का स्टेक सेल वगैरह नहीं देखने को मिलेगा? और आपके पास अभी जो हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस कंपनी का भी लाइसेंस है, तो हम देख सकते हैं कि स्टैंड अलोन हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस कंपनी भी आप शुरू कर सकते हैं?
जरूर देखेंगे. As far as Nippon, when I said this, Nippon as a policy, they are not in general insurance globally, which I have already discussed with them. They are only.
Can we see some sort of arrangement going ahead? Just to give example of Bajaj deal which happened yesterday only. So you can buy the stake of Nippon and can have a 100% subsidy, 100% company of yours only, and then can have a better synergy going ahead.
But Nippon may not sell. No, क्यों बेचेंगे? They are in the global life insurance business. वो तो कहेंगे आप हमको बेचो, तो हमको तो बेचना नहीं है, हमको तो वैल्यू क्रिएशन करना है. But we always like partnership for growth. तो हम पार्टनर को हमें साथ लेके चलेंगे, और उनसे हमारी शेयर होल्डर्स अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी हो गई है. दो NCLT had disbanded the earlier shareholders agreement. हमने उनको सपोर्ट किया, हमने उनको साथ में लेके उनके साथ shareholders agreement भी कर लिए. So there is
going ahead till the time of listing, shareholding will not change. And okay, sir, you are confirming on that.
As of now, नहीं.
Okay. And sir, when you spoke about the branding thing, because your general insurance company, despite you only mentioned in your address that despite so many challenges, they have shown the growth and they performed very well. So do you think that the change in branding may impact because of the brand also they continued showing a growth, and the change in brand may have some other effect also?
नहीं, वो मैंने we had checked with the management that Reliance, so they still felt that in the rural area, the brand Reliance was still very strong. And there was also a view with our management that why do we change? NCLT has given us for another, how many, 3 years? 3 years, why do we change? I said no. If you have to wait for 3 years and you have to do later, why not do it now? Built with the growth with your own brand, and that brand will forcibly bring in and will create that value.
Okay, so you mean to say that in next 6 months we will have a new brand?
Yes. As I told you,
life insurance and general insurance and for your security business also.
As I told you, that there are so many regulatory requirements which may take anything between 6 to 9 months. Within that framework, it will happen.
And you are ready with your new name, with your branding team, just the regulatory approvals is required?
Waiting from our agency, Launders, who will come up with various suggestions. But we have told them we will prefer IndusInd. So they'll come up with that proper suggestion, whether any other name we would like to add or not. But 99% it will be IndusInd.
Sir, good evening. Sorry. Yeah.
A small tiny query, sir. You mentioned that next 2 months you will plan the fundraising. So it is for RCAP, did you mean?
Fundraising? I never said so.
That you said in next 2 months you will plan it.
The strategy.
No. I said in 2 months the board will sit, the new board will take over, and they will then discuss with the management and plan what further funding or capital they need in their businesses.
For the RCAP.
Whether it is general insurance, whether it is life insurance. RCAP has no business.
Yeah.
So one has to also think that RCAP now, it is not a listed entity. What business, it's an NBFC. What businesses we can bring into that entity? Because at the moment they have a lot of real estates, pockets available, some apartments, some various things.
Yes.
So we will take a call. The board will take a call what all is to be done, and we'll come up with a plan that how do we use this NBFC.
Primarily debt, right? Capital fundraising for general.
No. You see, at the moment, I don't like to commit anything on the debt or anything because till the plan is not ready, whether we like to bring our own capital, but for any business, you can't use 100% own funds. You always need funds because it's always for the tax planning, it is always for the good for the company and for the management to know. So whatever debt equity ratios are there, depending on the plan of the funding requirement.
Thank you.
Good evening. So Piyush from Hindu Business Line. Sir, you had mentioned in your earlier interview that RBI has given you in principle approval to increase stake in IndusInd to up to 26%. Has the formal approval come, and what is the sort of capital infusion in terms of value, sir? Have you estimated
as we said that we restrict this to our RCAP. This question I have already answered to ET Now and CNBC, which is in public domain. But if you want further information on that after this meeting, spend few minutes with me. I'll give it.
Sir, just two more queries. One is, there was a report that said that Nippon Life Insurance is actually considering picking a stake in IndusInd Bank. Now it's a subsidiary of RCAP. So, like in terms of regulatory approvals, is this something that...
I don't know how that news has come. We checked. There is no such news. Then we checked maybe Nippon Life, which is their parent company, if they are interested to buy through their asset management or all. But at the moment, I don't think there is any truth to that.
So just one last query. Again, it's because the RBI has given 1 year approval for IndusInd Bank CEO.
Excuse me on this separately. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Sir, Anshika from Mint.
Pardon?
Anshika from Mint. Just one clarification. Part of your NCLT process for RCAP acquisition also involved the litigation with Torrent Group. Wanted to check whether that has been resolved because there's a case pending in the Supreme Court. Has that been resolved? Is that over?
Okay. Mr. Vasu, can you please clarify this situation? And what was the Supreme Court order?
Supreme Court, the matter is there in Supreme Court, but Supreme Court did not give any stay. Rather, Supreme Court said, go ahead with the NCLT process which is on.
Right.
And also given the liberty to Torrent to participate in the bidding process, which Torrent did not.
So, what is the status as of date?
So technically, it's just an appeal which is pending by way of an SLP before the Supreme Court by Torrent. But it becomes obviously infructuous.
Because they don't seem interested.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because you see, they were asked to participate.
Right.
And participate also with a proviso that they can say without prejudice. They did not participate. Not only that, they have also withdrawn their earnest money of 500 crore. So, means there may be no interest. So the matter was filed by them. Maybe after our acquisition, we will go to the Supreme Court and get it vacated.
Okay. My second question is, you mentioned you have about 500 million already raised and lying around for this process, for this acquisition. Is that for only the 8,900 crore, 8,000 or 9,000 crores which was committed under the NCLT process, or does that also include the capital infusion that you will be
No, I
putting
think,
into some of the...
let me clarify,
Yeah.
that is already a public domain information. The capital for that is only 2,500 crores plus 250 crores is domestic.
Right.
So 2,750 crore is the equity, balance is the debt.
That
And
is purely just for the acquisition, right?
only for the acquisition
Right.
of this. And this
Right.
is all within the framework of the law.
Okay.
Okay? And also there is no interest to be serviced for the period of 42 months. This debt is for 42 months. And interest to be paid out is at the exit.
Got it. So over that, will you be infusing capital in the insurance companies? Because especially Reliance General has been asking for working capital for about 2 years now.
So now, once it becomes to our company,
Yeah.
naturally we'll have to fund them, no? Even
much?
when we got bidded and we
Yeah.
awarded the business, That time 200 crores were given through the solvency route.
How much more could you infuse at this point? Do you have an estimate?
Whatever they will ask. And the board will approve their plan.
They haven't asked
You
yet?
see, our object is value creation.
Yes.
And for value creation, if money is to be injected and the management is doing an excellent job and the business growth is there, so there is no short of money.
Just
Hello,
my
sir.
Third question, sorry, one last question. When you were acquiring, the RCAP process was going on, you had to set up a domicile subsidiary because the insurance regulations did not allow 100% acquisition by a foreign company. Now the the government has allowed 100% FDI. Will you continue with that subsidiary arm process, or does that make the process easier? Will you look at a direct holding now? How will you work around
I think this is too early for me to answer. The investor, the domestic company will depend when the law comes into force. I think it takes another few months, 6 months.
Right.
Once that comes in, again review will be taken by the boards. What is good for the overall value creation, it will be looked into and accordingly will be done.
How much stake does the domestic company have?
26%.
In both life and general?
Both, yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hi, this is Subhrata from Business Standard. Hi, sir. Just wanted to get a sense on the debt repayment plan. I mean, you said 42 months is the tenor, so 7,000 crores is the debt that you have raised. So
with interest and all that, it may come to 10,800 or 11,000.
With interest, okay. So what's the debt repayment plan? I mean,
Exit.
By listing the companies?
At the time of exit, we have an exit block-in at 18 months. So there is a lock-in. After 18 months, our plan will be, as I said, after 2 years is the listing plan. And if today I want to exit, there is already an offer with me, which gives me 10,000 crores of profit. But I'm not here for quick buck. So if I have to give value creation to my shareholders in IIHL, I can exit after acquisition. But I don't want to. There is create state valuation of 20,000 crores only on 2 insurance companies.
So it's exit through IPO?
It will be exit through IPO and the debt will be repaid through the IPO.
Not complete exit, right? You'll keep some...
No, definitely we'll create. The whole objective is BFSI growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. This is Asmita from Red Intelligence. As you said that you are planning to give an exit through IPO, is there any equity upside for the debt investors also in that, like included?
No.
And my second question is about, you said you are planning to for a whole expansion in the BFSI space, but in the last week we have seen you face some problems in your core banking business. So do you think you should be focusing more on that for a foreseeable future, or what's the plan in general? What are you planning?
So let me answer your first question. There is no upside to the debt. That is fixed. And as I said, the interest and everything is on the exit date of 42 months. Okay. As far as the growth of BFSI is concerned, looking to the banking and looking to the BFSI means banking, financial services entities. So all those sectors will be a growth pattern. So it will be, synergies will be worked within the framework of the law. If the law permits, wherever the synergies are possible, with the approvals, we will move towards that direction. But value creation is to be there. Our target is to create in this BFSI sector, how much did we target? $50 billion. We have a target in 3 years to achieve from the whole BFSI sector.
And from the IPO, what kind of proceeds are you expecting in the next 2 years?
Too early. No. How can I imagine what will happen, how the market, how the country's economy is behaving? All that will have to be wait and watch.
But since you have the debt number in hand, I'm sure you have something planned.
No, we have a target of 50 billion. This is what I said.
Thank you so much.
But if anyone, you are experts here, if you can guide us, then definitely I'll welcome that.
Hi sir, good evening. My name is Amol. I work for the ET Digital, etbfsi.com. Congratulations. I think I just want you to just elaborate more on the employee part. How are you going to absorb that? Because you are going to exit from a lot of shell companies after this acquisition. And I do understand this conference is specifically about the Reliance Capital, but you repeatedly said value creation. And looking at the value creation, I mean, specifically of the bank, which has eroded by, a decent numbers, what is the board's view? Obviously, we heard you on the channels and the media, but any specific comments, because that is a worrisome factor where the value has been eroded. And specifically when you speak about the value creation, any comment that you want to make in a public?
No, because you are referring to the employees and referring to the value creation.
Yeah. First question.
So I'm answering to that, sure, though it may be related to bank. These are all short term. We have also seen IndusInd Bank pre-COVID. What was the drop you saw? The price was 235 rupees. Market cap down to what? We have also seen in 2008, where IndusInd Bank, the price of 10 rupees share was only 50 rupees and the market cap was 450 to 500 million. From 2008 to 2000, last when Mr. Sopti exited, what was the value? It went to 2,000 rupees. Capital raise was there, twice, thrice. And the value creation was huge. So you see, business of borrowing and lending is always, some situations will come, but trust and the confidence and the credibility has to be maintained. That is very, very important, irrespective of the balance sheet. Your balance sheet may be strong, but trust and faith and the credibility of the management and the institution has to be very strong.
Sure, sir, noted. And the first part was about the Reliance Capital's
employees.
Yes.
As I said, that board, after acquisition, will sit, they will meet. We have to build up our board, reconstitute the board, take the presentations from the management, and whatever we exit from the shell entities, there are people who are related to those entities for the compliance purposes. All those people will, if we exit, will go along with them. And balance review will be done, and accordingly, how many to be kept, how many not to be kept. If they don't require, they are excess, we will take a review whether within the group of Hinduja, whether they would like to absorb some of them, they will welcome.
Hello, hi sir, Bhakti here from Reorg. Sir, for the acquisition, you did debt fundraising in 2 tranches. So can you tell us a bit about what were the securities offered for the debt fundraising? And the second tranche, which got priced today, did you have to give some additional comfort to the investors? Because there were a lot of things going around and some investors also backed out. So can you just tell a little bit about?
So nobody has backed out. Reason, in PAS 4, there is a list which is open or public domain information, who all have invested, who were committed earlier, they are all there. Okay. So nobody has exited. But media is Raja, so we can't say anything to media.
But can you tell us what were the securities offered?
So answer is Raja and Rani both. The security is only security of Reliance Capital. There is no other security.
No other security. Okay.
Hi sir. I'm Subhana from NDTV Profit. I wanted to understand, what is the immediate roadmap? I mean, you said that, you would want to go for an IPO after 2 years. But how would you turn around Reliance Capital's operations given its troubled past? And also, how is this a strategic fit for IndusInd International Holdings?
As I said, IndusInd International is a holding company. All this will fit in because of the BFSI sector. And because through the NCLT what we got, all past problems are over. So we are taking no liabilities, no legal things, no taxation, nothing. Issue is, afresh we have to start, other than the 2-3 businesses which are already operating. 2 insurance companies are operating, asset restructuring companies operating, securities broking companies operating. So these are the companies which are operating. So depending on their requirement, on their growth pattern, what funding will be required, that will be provided. But the ones which are shell entities, I don't think, still we'll take a review and finally we'll take a call on them.
So sorry, since you mentioned about the credibility topic, and I want to address that, the credibility of the bank has suffered. I mean, you got a CFO who quits weeks before the results. You got a CEO who's not getting the tenure that he asked for, and he's saying that the RBI doesn't like me, most likely. You've got questions about the quality of the balance sheet. How do you address this as a promoter of the bank? How do you address this credibility? Obviously, there's a new CEO requirement. Obviously, there are people who are responsible who are still probably in the bank who need to also leave. How do you address this?
Can we tackle this subject? Because you're directly leading to the bank, and as I have no problem to answer you, I'll answer you after we close this. Okay? Moses? Moses, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. You can hear us, sir?
Yes. And you have Faye. So, Moses, you have anything to add? Your experience of last 2.5 years?
Kind of closing remark from IHL side. See, first thing, IHL takes pride in closing this complex transaction as per the NCLT guidelines. So today we have paid the resolution consideration, and we are get to transaction is to be consummated tomorrow. So this is a project that we have been working on for 3 years, because IHL being promoter of IndusInd Bank, we wanted to place IndusInd Bank at par with the top 4 private sector banks, ICICI, HDFC, Axis, and Kotak, because they have a holistic presence in commercial investment banking. They have a commercial bank, they have insurance, life insurance, securities, broking. So they are present in the entire BFSI sector. Whereas IndusInd Bank was present only in the banking sector. So we wanted to add that financial services piece and insurance piece. Now we have achieved, our task is accomplished, and we have positioned IndusInd Bank on a level playing field with the top 4 banks. I think that's a kind of dream come true for IHL under the vision of Chairman Mr. Ashok Hinduja, who has been struggling hard to establish IBL at par with Kotak and others. So this is a pride moment for us, and we are glad that although the transaction cycle from Reliance Cap going into the corporate insolvency resolution process in Q4 21, we got the mandate in Q1 2023, and it has taken a year for transaction closure, mainly because of various complexities in the transaction, regulatory approval, as Chairman said, DPIT clearance got delayed. All the regulators were involved. So it's good that it got completed, it's behind now, and we look forward how to generate value for the 600 plus shareholders of IHL who have stayed with IHL for the last 3 decades, and they're working for the value creation, who are ready to pump in capital. I have also placed a record that we are not short of capital. Our paid-up capital is 43 million shares against 100 million shares. So we have big room for raising capital as and when required. So with cash in hand and our holistic presence in the BFSI sector, I think the way forward for IHL is very promising. And I think that's the confidence that the chairman has given to the shareholder. So with this remark, I'll also like to thank who are all involved in the process. First, I would like to thank my Mumbai team, the project sponsor, Mr. Arun Tiwari, supported by the investment banking team under Dikshit and Mithun. And also I thank the IHL nominees in the monitoring committee, Mr. Ramesh Subramaniam and Vasudeva Rao, supported by Bhumika. And also the administrator and his team, who has been working closely with all the stakeholders, be it regulators or COCC or NCLT or the operating companies of Reliance Capital. I think administrator has done a very good job in taking the transaction into conclusion. And also thank my IHL team. We have Faye, our head of investor relations, is there, and Judy Stacks, our management company. They will all work 24/7 in the last 1 year to meet all requirements on time and get this transaction closure. Last but not least, I thank my chairman, Mr. Ashok Hinduja, for leading the diversification process of IHL. We have been investing in small tickets. We have acquired a majority stake in Afrinex Exchange, which is Mauritius based, with the eye to enter into Africa. We have acquired majority stake in Bahamas based Sterling Banks. And this one with RCAP and Invesco, I think we have achieved the holistic presence in India. And this will set up the momentum to diversify the BFSI sector space outside India. So I'm glad to state that IHL has set a fantastic operating infrastructure to create value creation for the benefit of the shareholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to confirm, you said the growth target is 50 billion or 50 million?
50 billion. Million का कहाँ जमाना है यार अभी? अरे by 2030, don't tell me next year. Okay, let me finally conclude that where is Bhumika? Not visible. She's a charming lady, one of the senior partners, Crawford Bailey, and his team and his partners have worked very hard on this. Late nights, early mornings. Thank you very much. And SBI Cap, they are here. Thank you very much. They have also worked hard in preparing presentations and everything. And last but the least is Barclays and 361, who committed that, sir, this transaction, money has to come from us. There were half a dozen lenders who were moving around, but we selected them and they have successfully completed the whole transaction. And Centrum and who else was there? Dam Capital and Centrum were also part of this whole process. Thank you. Thank you to all of them. Please, there. Aye na. Come. Come. At least give in a minute your experience about the new promoters.
Sir, they can also talk to us.
Yeah. बोलिए कुछ.
I think we are talking to him separately. I think.
Sir, especially the ones who...
एक मिनट, let them just play.
Get a mic.
Go there.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. And me and my colleague Rakesh have been involved in the process for greater than 3 years now. I can remember the day when we first met Mr. Hinduja, and he at that time had said that there is a lot of value to be made in the BFSI sector, and IIHL clearly wants to be the front runner to make that happen. And that was the day before the bids were placed and before they were won. So that was the day, and today is the day. It has been a long, arduous journey, and like Mr. Hinduja said, it is a difficult time in this period for the operating company. There are a large number of questions. There's a large amount of media news that keeps coming, and that tends to pull some elements of the business down. But it's been a very wonderful experience with the IHL team and with the team on the dais, and both of us really look forward to taking the next steps in the business and clearly adding our bit towards the $50 billion mission by 2030.
Rakesh.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, my pleasure that this process is ending. I must say, insurance is for the long haul. It's a very deep-rooted need for our country. And I think the best thing to happen is we have promoters like the Hindujas who are part of this, because this kind of depth can only come from the promoters of this background. I just want to also reflect that as a company, we have been doing well, and we also had a DRHP in the past. So in some ways, the discussion and, the guidance, which really came from the Hinduja group was you built on that. You built on, your past. You create a good value creation strategy. And eventually, when we list, we should also create value for everybody concerned. So I think we are very happy that this journey is now fructifying into the next steps. And we are all looking to really, do the best. Thank you.
How much capital would you need? Because they said they refuse how much
Rakesh, I don't think you have planted her.
I would only say that capital is a function of value we create. The opportunity is huge. What we need to do is to sit down and spec out the next steps. We wanted the process to be over so that we can have a plan, which is peacefully done, as against, something which is just getting pushed a little bit. I would admit that. So I don't think that we have tremendous need for capital. The amount is pretty small. You'll be surprised when the numbers come out, but I won't commit right now because we need to go with the board process. We need to really freeze that. Yeah.
Talking about 100% of general insurance and 51% of life insurance, because Nippon value I can't take.
And the ARC and the brokerage is not included?
That I have not even taken the value. Because वो बोलते हैं ना खाने के ऊपर थोड़ा मिर्ची मसाला डालते हैं. Those are that.
How much of business did the insurance arms get from the Hinduja group in this 2.5 years?
वो तो अभी यही बताएंगे.
Because you said that they have done well.
Yeah, यही बताएंगे.
Yeah, I think it's early days. We have got some amount of group business from the entities which do group term life. We are looking to get some of the funds business, and March is the season to get some of that going. It's early days, but the opportunity is of a tremendous order. It's quite large. There are some untapped pools of businesses that sit there, and I'm personally eyeing some of those pools to be able to create good value out of those.
Hello, great. Thank you very much.